popular Twitch streamer is in big trouble for allegedly treating his dog poorly on stream, forcing the pooch to sit still for hours at a time. People say the cover-up is underway and perhaps it's even worse than the crime. And folks, we're here to tell you that Hasan might be in the news, but it's not for the first time, and now we're all wondering, why did it take this rather than when he was insulting the victims of 9/11? Why do platforms like Twitch need this sort of thing to scratch that itch and save their ad partners from a massive migraine? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we continue to dive into the topics you wish to know about, keeping you ahead of the culture curve and giving you the analysis you need, a PhD level of understanding in what's going on inside not only the legacy media, but the new media as well. It's swell to have you here with us. Folks, click the like button, and we'll tell you what Hasan Piker was doing, turning his dog, allegedly, into a piece of furniture, a prop. And the dog could not stop, had to stay exactly where it was in place, lest it got zapped. That's the allegation. We've got talks about it, and we'll tell you why Twitch might be in trouble too. Ladies and gentlemen, from Viva Fry, it says this is going to turn into one of those situations where the lie of the cover-up is going to be as bad as, if not worse than, the initial controversy. The device that Hasan Piker is holding up, allegedly in this video, quite clearly looks like the Educator ET400 Shockifier. The prongs can be removed from the collar. So while what Hasan said might be true as he held it, it very much looks like a collar that does shocking, that was probably capable of putting the shockage to a particular canine when the dog looked like it was receiving such. People use these things on dogs. Typically the way they use them is for discipline, not convenience and stream props. He might have just been better off telling the truth than apparently lying in the cover-up. Now, I'm not going to assess whether or not this is indeed a shock situation. For those of you who don't know, Hasan Piker is a very controversial streamer. And in the past, along with Destiny, I have said, hey, DOJ, hey, FBI, why are you not dealing with these people? Because I think that they have said things that actually cross the line from free speech into incitement. Now, I'm not the judge and I'm not the jury, but I'm just here to say, for all the things that we investigate so quickly in this country, this is a legitimate concern, and so I'd like that to be taken care of, okay? Now, despite what Destiny and Hasan Piker have said, and we're focusing on Hasan right now, we're going to be careful about what we play because you know, folks, you know that if you play this kind of stuff, sometimes they'll say, you played my content. We're not going to do that. Back here on the left side of the screen is where a dog typically sits for hours at a time. And in fact, somebody timed this stream that's controversial. The dog was sitting there for like 5 hours, right? And the camera's position and the props are positioned so that there's this dog sitting here in the background on the left side all the time. And the allegation is that Hasan Piker was using a shock collar to force the dog to stay in the position where it was. Now, I'm not going to get into whether or not people should use shock collars. I'm not going to talk about whether or not, it's an appropriate use of obedience training for dogs. We're going to stay away from that because all that's really spicy. I got a bigger topic I want to talk about with all of you because you're going to get that on every YouTube channel out there, okay? We don't have to go there because you got 100 of those videos. I want to do something different. Here's what I want to talk about, panel. I'm curious about this. Why do these people say things that are atrociously, awfully bad? You had somebody like Destiny call for Republicans to feel in fear of their lives in public. And he said that after the Charlie Kirk tragedy. You've got Hasan Piker saying atrociously bad things about people groups. I mean, just really beyond the pale. And again, to the point that I think, why are investigations not happening, maybe even beyond that? And so what I'm curious about is these people are platformed. They're given millions of eyeballs by these platforms that put them there. And I don't like canceling people until you cross that line into, hey, I think you actually want other people to be harmed. And I can think that. I have the right to think that that might be what they're doing. Here's the curiosity. It took a dog. We've been dealing with calls for harm, I believe, against humans for a long time with some of these people. What is it? I mean, I don't want any animal to suffer. I think actually the way that you treat animals in private I think that's a good tell for how you're going to treat people in private, because animals can't tell what happened, right? So you can actually treat animals with true cruelty. But do you all find it odd that it took until we get to the dog, despite all the things that have been said in the past that are just atrociously bad? Is this strange to you all, or is this something, maybe this was the visceral visual moment that people needed to see actual, what appears to be cruelty on screen for people to get, appalled enough to say something? What do you think's going on here?
Well, I think with politics, since our country is incredibly divided, and I mean, we're not going to get super into politics here, but I think that we're at the point where that kind of rhetoric is expected, or just by half of the country. So it's really hard to kind of say or push back on it when that is actually a lot of people's opinions, and obviously he has a lot of support. I think that the dog being shocked is, like the final, oh my God moment for people, because I don't think anyone's going to disagree on animal violence. So I think this is really going to be, the one thing that we can agree with, because I think in this country right now, it is very, very, very hard to find a middle ground, very, very hard to agree on anything, especially if you're on opposite sides of the spectrum politically. But, injuring a dog for the purposes, again, not if you don't want to get into the conversation of how you train your dog, but for the sake of a prop on set, I think it turns everyone's stomach. So no one's really going to push back on that. And I ironically have seen a lot of pushback online. A lot of his defenders have, said, clearly that's not what happened. You heard what he said, but I think the overall sentiment, regardless of your political affiliation, that's reprehensible.
Yeah, and there are allegations, and people are using very sophisticated software to take a look at this collar that he holds up to prove that he didn't do it. And people are saying if you use sophisticated imagery, it looks like that black tape was placed over where the prongs were, and the prongs have been manually removed. Now, I just want to remind people, this Hasan Piker fellow, right? This guy is someone who has said that America deserved what happened on September 11th, so many years ago. Right? This is not like, we're not playing with, maybe he said this, or maybe he said that, or maybe meant it this way. He said that America deserved it. So this is somebody who's made some really bold claims. And the Hollywood Reporter, and I don't mean bold in a good way, by the way. The Hollywood Reporter has this, because what if I told you that, coming to the defense of Hasan Piker, if you've ever wondered, ladies and gentlemen, if you've ever wondered just how tightly these people in the woke category will hold together and refuse to say a single negative thing about each other, PETA is actually coming, it appears, to the defense of Hasan Piker. I know, Gary Baum has this from THR. PETA responds to Hasan Piker controversy. If we scroll down here, I just want to get to it. I don't want to read the rest of the article. I just want to go what PETA says. Now, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals is weighing in. In a statement to the Hollywood Reporter, the advocacy group says Hasan has denied using a shock collar on the pooch, and we hope that's true, because those collars are dangerous and downright cruel. They put the puppies at risk of burn wounds, anxiety, and displaced aggression. Now, if Hasan was any other political persuasion, do you all think that PETA would have come out and said, he says he didn't do it. I don't know if he really did it or not. No, they wouldn't do that. Nat, this is where we get the danger. This is where, not just with PETA, but these platforms that don't want to deal with people on their political persuasion who go so far into dangerous territory, and that's what keeps them on the air. Nat, what do you think about this cohesion that we see where ethics and standards just don't simply seem to apply?
The problem is there is no grounding foundation for those ethics and standards on, I'll say, one side, where they change the morals and the values that they uphold, so everything becomes very murky. So it becomes very easy to defend something like this, even for PETA, even for maybe a lot of his audience who might be vegan but still want to defend him more. And I think with the dog example specifically, with this being a dog and not a human, and all the rest of the things he has said about humans, it's because there's been a devaluing of human life, and there's been a devaluing and desensitizing of what we see day to day. So when it's being presented as something happening to a human, maybe it's less shocking because it's more seen by the public regularly. I mean, we saw it September 10th, and a lot of us were shocked, but a lot of other people were also shocked at their response because it was a human life. But with an animal, maybe because of the cuteness and because of how we usually relate to animals, at least in Western cultures, it became more evident. But the fact that there are people trying to apologize for it, or even say, oh, it's true, he wasn't doing it, coming from PETA, an organization who, I won't get into that, is not shocking either, because of this lack of clarity within what they espouse so often.
Right, absolutely. And culture, this Hasan Piker fellow, less people think, well, come on, guys, why are you even talking about this? It's not entertainment. Well, the reason we bring him up is because he's a streamer. And if you go and you look right now at Social Blade, they don't have the same kind of stats they do for YouTube culture. But this Hasan guy has an A++ rating on Twitch and is very, very highly placed. This person has a lot of influence. And I think that if we get into situations where an animal is being used as a prop, if that's what's happening, if an animal is literally being forced to lay in a particular position for hours at a time, and if it moves, if it dares not be furniture, it gets a jolt. If that's what's happening, culture, I think that's a deranged person for platforms to say, here's our kind of content. Advertisers, here's what you need to be seeing. Frankly, I'll watch all the AI slop in the world if that's what we want to do, versus watching a dog be forced to just stay in a it might as well be taxidermied at that point, except it feels pain.
Yeah, I mean, set aside the fact that he's just disgusting. He has very close ties to the CEO of Twitch, supposedly.
Can you explain that? Because that's something that I don't know.
Yeah.
Walk us through that.
For a long, long time, it's been claimed that he gets a lot of preferential treatment. He is allowed to do a lot of things that if any other streamer were to do, they would be, temporarily banned. If they're a woman, it only lasts for 12 hours, 24 hours. But if they're a dude, they probably get banned for a week. That's another problem with Twitch. But in addition to all those things, he seems to have a relationship with the CEO, who actually comments on Hasan's content. This is, something, if you were to dive into the depths of the evil orange overlord at Reddit, you would understand that this has been going on for a while. I'm sure Nat can speak on this as well, but Twitch is just full of these types of influencers, and you can get away with, polishing the message as much as you want over there, and which is why a lot of people are moving to Kick and other places to stream. And it's also why Twitch finds itself going to be answering to Congress pretty soon. Apparently that was not yesterday, as was supposedly planned, because they couldn't get all four of the tech companies in there to talk with them. But they're going to have to stop allowing for excuses and, get the three worst ones in there. Because I don't think Steam is bad when it comes to how they do moderation and things like that. But I think that the other entities, especially Reddit and Twitch, are largely to blame for a lot of divisive things that go unchecked and unmoderated. And I think that's a problem. But like I said, Hasan, he gets away with what he does because there's preferential treatment for him on that platform.
There you go. Jonas, anything else we need to say about Hasan Piker or Destiny, if you'd like to throw out some pejoratives? Anything else we should say?
Let's not talk about the moral black hole that is Destiny right now. Hasan is everything that we have come to expect from Marxist ideology. These empty ideas of some kind of greater virtue, some kind of greater morality, when in the end, it turns out that he's cruel to the things that can't do anything to him. So just imagine if someone with his ideology got into government power. Here's the thing. They would complain about capitalism and corporations. You can walk away from a corporation. A government is essentially a corporation that cannot be dissolved. So when Hasan talks about government power and the things that government should do to take power from corporations, think about what he does to that beautiful dog, by the way, that nice little animal, not even a little, it's a rather large dog. The amount of electricity that had to be put through that dog in order to elicit that response, not because the dog was misbehaving, but because the dog was not sitting where he wanted it to sit. So you know, those are the kind of people that are influencing the youth. And you really got to be careful who you give government power to, and you really got to be careful how much power you give to the government. That's the light version of what I would like to say about that.
Yeah, I was going to say
Mom, Dame, whoa. Yeah, that's going to be a big problem in New York. We got that guy coming to a haberdashery near you if you're in New York. Thank you, Jonas, for that word. And let's also talk about the fact that we already have one of these people. It's called AOC. These are the people that want to seize the means of production and make you suffer. Please stop electing these crazy humans. There are more moderate people out there.
That's right.
By the way, those collars can just create a noise that dogs really don't like that causes them to go, oh, what? And not bark or not misbehave. So those, there are a lot of steps before you get to even the lightest of electronic taps before you get into something that causes
choosing to hurt his dog. And by the way, another one that we have to worry about is in Virginia, that Attorney General Jay Jones, which also on the same level of inciting or saying things you shouldn't say.
There are a lot of these socialist Democrats who are just socialists. I mean, it's just with extra steps or extra verbiage. And I have huge problems with them. Look, I've been calling out neo-Marxists since I started doing this, so uncomfortably so that, Marvin the Movie Monster will hit a bell every time I say it.
I'm going to get a bell. Okay. That's not the only word that gets a bell for you, though.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, I'll tell folks this. You might ask, well, why are we covering this sort of thing? And the answer is, this has been one of the biggest trending topics on X, and we're very interested. We're very keen in covering the new media, just as much as we cover the legacy media. And this is a problem. If live for hours an animal is being treated poorly, folks, that's a problem for people to consume that kind of thing. And I'll remind everybody of something my grandmother wisely taught me once upon a time, and that is that you should pay very close attention to how someone treats animals, because animals cannot tell what's happened to them. So those of us who would do things in private that are atrocious or evil, pay attention to how animals respond to them. Pay attention to how they treat the critters around us, because if they can get away with that, what will they do if they think they can get away with treating you like that as well? Folks, something to remember, especially when you're choosing your streamers to view. And put another one in the can, folks. A video of excellence has been birthed into existence, and you were there to witness it. Thank you for participating. We hope you had a good time. Folks, it's a great time anytime we get to share time with you, and we mean it. The only thing additional we ask, on the way out the door, consider clicking the like button. Share, subscribe, click it and stick it to those pesky algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. And oh, by the way, if you would be so kind, perhaps share this out on your favorite social media platforms. Folks, we've got all kinds of content coming your way. If you are interested in going even beyond all of that, well, there's a Pro Store, and you can always find those items directly below the video you're watching. The Pro Store, it's a cool place to check out for items that, well, definitely Disney and the rest are not going to sell you, but we're happy to do so. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Jump into the water!
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro Channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun. Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio. What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.